just before my first real question, what position did you play?
Defense.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of solid tackler, no real skill.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask first just about working with Steve McQueen. I'm sure you've spoken about that before, but he is one of those rare filmmakers where he's like a magician with the camera. He's everything he touches is just phenomenal. And I just wondered about collaborating with him closely on this project.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, I guess any actor worth their salt, they want to work with auteurs like Steve McQueen. And you want to also, there is a kind of pride of working with British directors who are kind of on the world stage, you know? And so just from the off, that's kind of brilliant. And then when you meet him, he is an kind of absolute force to be reckoned with. You know, he's incredibly bright, he's incredibly insightful, and kind of sees the world, I guess, like a proper artist. You know, and he just sees it slightly to the left or to the right of what we all see, and that kind of he's just kind of an absolute force of creativity. And I really enjoyed working with him. I enjoy someone who kind of pushes their actors, and I certainly felt kind of certain directors, you turn up on set and you feel very nervous, and you feel like you've got to be at the top of your game, and he's one of them.
And I mean, obviously, you played the sort of antagonistic character in this piece. But across your career, because you have played some characters who have had sort of darker sides to their psyche, and some of them aren't particularly nice people. Do you think it gives you quite a good understanding of humanity as an actor when you have to get into the heads and seek to understand people that have such vastly different thoughts to yourselves?
Yeah, I don't know whether they are vastly different thoughts, actually, which might say something about me. But I think that we've all got darkness inside of us, you know, and I think often I approach these kind of, I played quite a lot of horrible people, but I, I try and think about the damage that's been done to them to make them horrible. And I think we've all suffered humiliation or emotional pain or whatever it is that can make us behave badly as a consequence. And so but I also do have kind of, I think actors have access to different things. And I suppose I have access to a kind of dark side of humanity. But I actually feel that that's not in my makeup, you know. I actually feel day to day, I feel like I feel compelled to be nice to people. So, but I suppose, yeah, or like where it was, I think certainly also growing up, where I grew up, there was lots of great people in my life, but I also was aware as a teenager, especially, of quite a few people who weren't very nice, and and yeah, and they stay with me. Those characters have stayed with me throughout my acting career.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I mean, that really comes across in your performances, that approach, because I think you have this incredible ability of playing people that I hate. And I sometimes do find myself feeling quite sorry for them at times, or finding some sort of emotional connection to the role. I mean, even in this, I hated your character, but there was a moment where he was standing up in the booth and I felt a bit of pity, which was quite a surprise to me as an audience member. So that was a great, well, that's thanks to your great performance. But I was wondering if, as an actor, being the one, not the lone antagonistic character or in a project, but can it ever be quite isolating on set to be the character who is horrible?
I think that's a really good point with relation to this project. You know, I was essentially playing. I was playing a person, But with regard in the context of the rest of the characters, he was number one racist. And you know, he was known in Notting Hill, and actually known. He was on the front cover of the People newspaper in, I think, 1971 or 69 or 71. Anyway, around that time, he was on the front cover of the People newspaper under the headline "Worst PC in Britain." But on set, yeah, I think they, you know, the people, the actors playing the Mangrove Nine were you know, obviously forming these tight relationships. They were a proper band of brothers and sisters, and I was their kind of common enemy, and so everyone's trying to stay in character. Everyone's trying to kind of, you know, be civil with each other and be friendly and have fun on set. But actually, you're never totally breaking out of it. So we were quite wary of each other just from a character point of view, and yeah, I think I just kept myself apart. And yeah, you're right, I was kind of on my own for the 4 weeks of filming or whatever, but that goes with the territory. And Steve was made sure also, though, just to be very inclusive, and was you know, really nice to me throughout the process, even though I was playing this total rotter. And then after film, towards the end of filming, we were breaking out of it more and more, and I was having chats with some of the other actors, and that was really nice. And it was before COVID, so there was hugs all round as well at the end of shooting, and that was really important to come together like that.
Yeah, no, it's a great ensemble. But you mentioned about working with Steve, and obviously what a great kind of artist he is. And you've worked with Andrew Haigh as well in the North Ward, and he's another fantastic filmmaker. And I'm just wondering about, obviously at the beginning of any actor's career, you might start off a career where it's not just about working with inspiring people, but it's about getting your face out there. It's about playing roles that you think will help get onto other projects, etc. But have you reached a stage now where you can just pick people you want to work with and projects you want to work with? And how great is that to kind of get to a place where you can say, I want to work with this person because they're so brilliant, and not have to worry so much about getting your face out there, so to speak?
I totally agree. I think it's I wouldn't say I mean, I certainly have more choice than I did. And that's just such a privilege. You know, I know from my own career early on how difficult it is to get any work in acting. So to have a choice feels like a minor miracle, you know. And I think I feel more empowered to say I want to work with the likes of Steve McQueen and Andrew Haigh, and for that to be more of a possibility, you know. But choice, I think, only very, very few, I would say, movie stars ultimately are afforded proper choice. And even then, they'll tell you that there's, you know, there's that phrase, what is it? One for them, two for me, or whatever, you know. So I think there's, but I really, I think there is a kind of, it's starting to happen where you are in a kind of area that all the good directors are kind of occupying, you know. And so the more projects you do with the likes of Steve McQueen or Andrew Haigh, the more chance you've got of working with other interesting directors.
And of course, we sort of mentioned before that you have played characters who are sometimes not the nicest people in the world. I just wondered, when you kind of started getting into your career, is it one of those things you almost have to embrace when you realise that there's a type of character you play very well? You think, I'm starting to get offered these parts of these people in these movies, and I clearly do it very well. And do you almost have to ride a wave in your career? Is it one of those things as an actor where you do sometimes think, these are some of the roles I'm being offered, it's working for me, I should go with it? How does it kind of, do you have to?
Yeah, I think you've got really good insight into it. I mean, I think you do have to ride a wave, but it's a kind of balance between being typecast and also and riding that wave of the kind of characters that are going to offer you a meaningful career in acting, you know. And also the baddies are really interesting. They're really textured. They're really brilliant to play. But especially the likes of, I don't know, like Frank Pulley in Mangrove. You know, they're quite exhausting to play because there's quite a lot of dark places you have to go to really kind of convey the inner workings of those characters, you know, to really, for the camera to pick it up through your eyes. I think you have to go to some dark places. And at the end of those kind of shoots, I'm pretty, it sounds a bit melodramatic, but I'm pretty exhausted, you know, by being in that space all the time. And I just want to hang out with my kids and do very basic silly things and just play with him, because it's just it's very tiring. And then you get to a point where you go, well, I've got other stuff that I want to explore in me, you know, and maybe, like, I really want to play a kind of character who's invested in religions, say, you know, and or you know, maybe even a romantic character, which I played. I worked with a French director in the summer on a film called Connemara, this director called Isil de Besco, and it was really interesting. But I played essentially a lover in it, and that felt revelatory, because you're kind of exploring all these films in a drama, all these feelings in a drama that you just haven't touched for years because you've been playing rotters.
Yeah. So my final question, because I know I'm just gone over time slightly, was just, you mentioned how sometimes it's nice to just go back and spend time with the kids. But with that in mind, how's kind of lockdown been? Because as an actor, I guess you have to travel so much for work. And have you found this year to be, have you been kind of itching to get back out there to be working again? Have you actually quite enjoyed a quite rare time to just spend at home, I guess?
I think both me and my wife work in the film industry, and actually when lockdown did start, apart from all the kind of worries about the pandemic and family and friends and you know, all the usual existential worries, it was really nice to stop. And I know lots of actors have said how nice it was to kind of not be in the hustle all the time, and just to really stop, no phone calls from your agent, no hassling your agent, just kind of calm, and also none of that kind of insecurity or neurosis about other actors doing this or doing that and you not being involved in it. It was just great for the first time in 20 years to stop. Yeah. And that was very calming. Now, though, I really want to work.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sam. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey